And we're live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. Hope everyone's having a good day. Excited to break down this slate tonight. We got some news filing in here. I got to get my Twitter up on the screen, so bear with me. But we got a bunch of news filing, and that's obviously going to impact this slate. We've been waiting on quite a bit throughout the day, and we just got a bunch of stuff coming through. So let's go ahead and refresh this so we can talk it over here. And let's see. So, Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter Jr., both game time decisions. Franz Wagner will play. We just got confirmation that Rudy Gay is going to play as well. Bojan Bogdanovic is in. Donovan Mitchell is in. Royce O'Neal is in. Elijah Hughes was ruled out. So the Jazz are getting a lot of those guys back. That was the biggest piece of news we were really waiting on. I don't know if we got confirmation on Mike Conley. He's the one guy we'd have to look at here. Let's see here. Mike Conley is ruled in as well. Okay, great. So the Utah Jazz are looking a lot more normal tonight than they were last night. So that's good, or at least, we got confirmation on that. They're expected to kind of have everyone back except for Rudy Gobert. So Hassan Whiteside's going to continue to be a thing, which we'll talk about as we go along this slate. But we got all that news. So Patrick, welcome in. How you doing tonight? Yeah, so we'll do a little bit of a game-by-game as always. Talk it over here. And looking at the Vegas lines, all that fun stuff. We got confirmation that the whole Utah Jazz team is in, essentially, outside of Rudy Gobert, so that's good. So I'll be updating my projections and all that fun stuff for you premium content members. And we should be ready to start breaking this thing down. So let's go through it game by game, as always. Milwaukee taking on Charlotte here. This is going to be the fastest-paced game on the slate. Certainly going to be one that I'm going to want to be getting a lot of exposure to. Giannis Antetokounmpo is once again my favorite pay-up option on this slate. Really let us down last night, but I do think this is a great bounce-back spot for him against the Charlotte defense that's really been struggling all season long. So certainly will be looking to get lots of Giannis exposure tonight. I would recommend that you do the same. The question is going to be, where's the value now that all these Utah Jazz guys are in? But I do think that the Utah Jazz guys that were ruled in do grade out as pretty great values. So we will talk about that, even though they're mostly healthy here. Still looking like pretty good plays. I'm going to continue to update my projections and all that stuff, and we will get some confirmation as we kind of break this thing down. But for the most part, still looks like the Utah Jazz is going to supply quite a bit of value here. It'll just most likely be in some more regular name type of form here, rather than the the guys we were dealing with last night. So, but yeah. Giannis Antetokounmpo, great pay-up option. The rest of this game, this is going to be very fast-paced. Chris Middleton at 8-2 is priced pretty appropriately, but his upside is certainly there. Just wish he was a little bit cheaper, obviously. It would be a lot easier to be locking him in, but I still like him a lot. My favorite play on the slate, my lock of the night, is Bobby Portis at 6.5 on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, he's criminally underpriced as well. He's someone you need to be getting in your lineups tonight, taking on a Charlotte front court that's just really not good. And with there being no Drew Holiday, his bump should be up quite a bit here, and then you're factoring in that there is no longer DeMarcus Cousins. His minutes will be a lot more solidified. Donovan Mitchell was just ruled in, so that's all good stuff. We were kind of already relying on that to happen. Jordan Nwora as well, another great value play. So I'm going to be really looking to load up on these Bucks. The Charlotte defense has been one we've been able to target all season long with a 235 over-under. Should be a great spot. Looking at my premium content defensive half-court putbacks tool over here on Patreon, I can see that the Charlotte Hornets currently grade out as the 26th best team in points per possession rank, so they are indeed a bottom 5 team in defense. And the half-court offensive rebound percentage, they're giving up a lot of offensive rebounds as well. 29th in the league in that, 27th in putbacks per miss rank, so you get the point. Really great team to be targeting is Charlotte. Certainly will be getting lots of exposure to the Milwaukee Bucks side. Running it back on the other side, DeMarcus Cousins is still listed on DraftKings, but he was waived, so just keep that in mind. Don't be playing him. On the Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball is the obvious pay-up option. If you want to pay up for him, I certainly think he has a ton of upside on the slate, and I would certainly be willing to do so. And then you have Mr. Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, and PJ Washington, all of which are going to be volatile plays. They can be a little bit vital, is what I was trying to say. Volatile as far as their results. I mean, Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington, all certainly capable of surpassing their price tags, but they are a little bit negatively correlated. Would have some interest in going back to a Gordon Hayward, a Terry Rozier. I just don't think you can be playing all of these guys in the same lineup, because one of them or two of them is going to fail. So that's just would be my approach there. Franz Wagner will play. We already kind of got that, but just so you guys know, Franz Wagner is in. Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter Jr. are both still listed as questionable in this one, so that's obviously some big pieces of news that we need to be keeping our eye on here. And certainly some that I will be keeping my eye on in Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter Jr. If there is no Cole Anthony, bigger bump up to a Terrence Ross. If there's no Wendell Carter, we could see some more minutes for an Okeke and a Mo Wagner. So obviously, we really got to pay close attention to this. This game is at 7 o'clock, though, so we should have that news before lock. And depending upon where it goes, we'll determine where we're going. I really do like Mo Bamba's price tag on both websites tonight. Something that's interesting over here on FanDuel specifically is that Mo Bamba and Hassan Whiteside are the same price tag. So it'll be interesting to see how many people go to Hassan Whiteside versus how many people go to Mo Bamba. And I do think that Mo Bamba might be a nice low-owned play if everyone's going to go to Hassan Whiteside with there being no Rudy Gobert. So certainly have interest in Mo Bamba, certainly have interest in Hassan Whiteside, but like I said, if everyone's going to be loading up on Whiteside again, I do think that Mo Bamba grades out as a great play here, taking on a Detroit front court that we're not too scared of. Certainly would be getting some exposure to him. And Terrence Ross off the bench as a sixth man. I do think it's a pretty great play on this slate regardless of the news overall, but he just becomes an even better play if we do get confirmation that there is indeed no Cole Anthony, and if there's no Wendell Carter Jr., he's just going to take on a lot more usage, a lot more responsibility as far as scoring, and they would really need him to step up here. So he still grades out as a phenomenal play regardless. But if those guys are ruled out, really going to be wanting to make him a priority in my lineups tonight. On the other side, Cade Cunningham, Saddiq Bey, Hamidou Diallo, all priced pretty appropriately. It's certainly Cade Cunningham and Saddiq Bey pay up territory for me on Detroit. Taking on an Orlando squad that's not good defensively. I'm not too interested in anyone else really on the Detroit side, to be honest with you. I think the guy that I have most interest in is Isaiah Stewart, if we continue to see his minutes climb. Played 20 minutes last time out, 20 DraftKings points for him at a 4,800 price tag here. I do think that he could surpass that. A little bit risky, but certainly a risk that could pay off for you. And lastly, another cheap guy on the Detroit side that I'd be willing to take a risk on would be Killian Hayes, starting guard here. He's only 3,400. He certainly could surpass that price tag on DraftKings. So if you want to go to Killian Hayes, I certainly think that that is a valid tournament play. Utah taking on Indiana. We just got all this news on these guys. Donovan Mitchell's in. Malcolm Brogdon was ruled out. So with Malcolm Brogdon being ruled out, that's obviously a very big piece of news. Karis LeVert is listed as questionable in this one. And so that's something we really have to keep our eyes on. If he's ruled in, let's see, looking at the projected starting lineup here, with there being no Malcolm Brogdon. Let's see if I refresh this. We're looking to, it's still not updated on this starting lineups page, but with him being ruled out, just keep your eyes on this starting lineup for the Utah and Indiana game. Once again, we will have this news because it is a 7 o'clock game, so we'll kind of know. I would expect maybe Chris Duarte steps in there to fill in for Malcolm Brogdon. If he does, obviously he would be a fantastic play. He's just listed as questionable, but he is available. He was listed as available, and this hasn't updated on DraftKings, so Chris Duarte will be back. Obviously, a big bump up to him with there being no Malcolm Brogdon. Certainly could be a valid play, but he'll probably face some sort of a restriction in his minutes the first game back. So, once again, we really need the starting lineup to be able to fully elaborate. Jeremy Lamb's available as well, so he's going to be cutting into some guys' usage. Whether we see Dwayne Washington or the other value play in Sykes start tonight is to be determined. Their price tags have come up. If they're not starting, though, obviously they're easy fades. We really need this starting lineup. So we will be keeping our eyes on that one, depending upon who starts. You could certainly be going to, with a 224.5 over-under, is going to be a pretty fast-paced game here, and it's expected to stay close. So no issues with you getting some exposure to that Indiana side. Regardless of the guards and being limited and all that stuff and cutting to each other's usage, we should see Domantas Sabonis have a lot of usage. A lot of upside in this spot. There's no Rudy Gobert, which is obviously a huge upgrade to him as far as the matchup is concerned. Rudy Gobert, an elite around the rim defender, so you take him out of the equation, the matchup's going to be much better for Domantas Sabonis, having to deal with Hassan Whiteside rather than Rudy Gobert. So Domantas Sabonis, I do think, is a great pay-up option on this slate tonight as well. The New York Knicks taking on the Boston Celtics. This is a game that I really don't have too much interest in, to be honest with you, outside of a few guys at some low price tags. It's only a 206 over-under with a 7.5 point spread in favor of Boston. Evan Fournier is listed as questionable. That's the biggest piece of news in this game for me, because if he's out, we're going to be taking a much harder look to, well, first of all, Quentin Grimes, Alec Burks, and Emmanuel Quickley should be getting some more minutes, but my biggest two guys that I would really want to be getting a big bump up in this game would be, well, one in Alec Burks, two in RJ Barrett, though. RJ Barrett would really get a big bump up, and I also think you could see Julius Randle get a big bump up in usage as well. Not directly correlated because he's not a guard, but RJ Barrett would be the guy that I certainly think, and Alec Burks, get a big bump up here. So those two guys would become much better plays if there is indeed no Evan Fournier. That's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. And like I said, you can be taking a look to an Emmanuel Quickley down here on the cheap end. Certainly wouldn't hate that. On the Boston Celtics side, with there being no Peyton Pritchard, I'm going to continue to target Dennis Schroeder at only a 5.5 price tag on both websites. I just think he's too cheap. He's a 6-man off the bench. He gets all the usage when he comes in with the second unit. So for that reason, I do think that Dennis Schroeder is a fantastic play that I'm going to continue to play. Take advantage of that price tag while you can. And looking at some other, Al Horford, another guy that his price tag has plummeted. He's really not had the best games as of late. Only 22 and 14 DraftKings points the last two times out. But at only a 6.3 price tag, this is a guy with 40-plus DK fantasy point upside easily. And I'm certainly willing to take a risk on him at this price tag. The price tag continues to dip. He hasn't been playing good. Maybe his ownership's lower than it should be. I'm certainly willing to play him. So he's a guy I'd be looking to. And then the pay-up options in Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I'm going to continue to say this. I sound like a broken record. But the fact of the matter is, I do think that on most nights, Jaylen Brown has the same upside as Jason Tatum. We saw Jason Tatum kind of go into takeover mode in that last game. 65 DraftKings points, fantastic performance. But on average, I think that Jaylen Brown at 9-1 in comparison to Jason Tatum at 10-4 is going to have very similar output. And I'm just willing to take the discount and take the risk that Jason Tatum doesn't quite go off like he did last game. And go to a Jaylen Brown at 9-1, who I think can actually get you there at his price tag. So that's my approach in this game. B Shizzle says, who are your favorite two pay-ups tonight on DK? Well, I can tell you, my first favorite pay-up by far is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo in this fast up-tempo game, taking on a Charlotte Hornets team that's just really not good defensively. Giannis is the top pay-up option on this slate by far for me. He was my top pay-up option last night, too, in a fast up-tempo game against Brooklyn. He got in foul trouble in the first half. They ended up blowing him out. It was just a disaster, so he really didn't have the greatest game for his price tag, but I'm going to go right back to Giannis tonight. Really like him as a pay-up option. My second favorite pay-up option on this slate tonight would have to be probably Domantas Sabonis. 10-2, like I said, there is no Rudy Gobert. They're getting some guys back on Indiana, which you would think would hurt him, but they're all going to be kind of limited off the health and safety protocols list. And if anything, they're just going to help take a little bit of attention off Domantas Sabonis, give him some more guys around him that can actually, he can pass the ball to, they can pass the ball to him type of thing, give him some peripheral stats in this type of spot. So I do think that my two favorite options are going to be Domantas Sabonis and Giannis Antetokounmpo on this slate tonight for pay-up options on DraftKings. So that would be my answer there. B Shizzle, hopefully that helps you out. Miami taking on Phoenix is the last game, guys. If you're enjoying the stream, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload or when I go live. Would be greatly appreciated, guys. And let's talk about this last game. So Miami taking on Phoenix. The biggest piece of news we're waiting on is Jimmy Butler. He's currently listed as questionable. He has a chance to return. He with an ankle injury. I think he'd be fully good to go if he does return. I also do think he could be one of the best tournament plays on the slate. Why? Because it's a 9 o'clock game. All these other games start at 7 and 7:30. We don't know if he's going to play. If he gets ruled in, he's going to be a fantastic play at a 9.3 price tag. And he's going to get some really low ownership. Looking at the Vegas lines right now, Phoenix is favored by 9. Currently, we really don't know on Jimmy Butler, but I do think that it's a really good idea in your tournaments, if you're willing to take on some risk, to go ahead and play some Jimmy Butler. And if he's ruled in, he might be very low owned. If he's ruled out, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero really become top plays. I like these guys regardless, but their price tags have come up a little bit too much for my liking if Jimmy Butler's in. Omer Yurtseven's going to be a fantastic play on both websites regardless of what happens with the Jimmy Butler news, because there's still no Bam Adebayo. He's a great fantasy point producer. DeAndre Ayton really isn't the greatest defender around the rim, so He doesn't scare me all too much, and I think Yurtseven will continue to be a great piece of value. So we're really waiting on this Jimmy Butler news. Also, if Jimmy Butler's ruled in, that makes it far more likely that this game stays close, which is going to make Chris Paul and Devin Booker both a lot better plays. Both guys taking on a lot of usage. Both guys have a ton of upside. Really just a matter of whether the game stays close for these two. And if Jimmy Butler's in, I think the game does stay close. So maybe stacking up this game with Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul on the late end. Getting some low-owned guys would make some sense in some tournament plays. If Jimmy Butler's ruled in, that could really pay off for you in tournaments. So that might be something to be thinking of. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of risk involved with that, but it's just something to be thinking about. If you are a tournament player, if you're willing to take some risk, I think that Jimmy Butler is a fantastic tournament play on this slate, so someone that I would be looking to. Tap My Life says, need a bounce back night. Yes, sir, we can definitely do that, man. We got a bunch of news coming in. All these Utah Jazz guys are back in, so we're not going to have to worry about playing that silly Utah Jazz value, but the Utah Jazz starters are grading out as pretty great plays now. They're going to be loaded up with a bunch of minutes. There's no Rudy Gobert, which should bump up the minutes for all the starters. They do play a pretty solid, put-together rotation. And for that reason, guys like Royce O'Neal, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, all grading out as pretty good plays. Bojan Bogdanovic grading out as a pretty good play on DraftKings specifically. Looking over on FanDuel here, got my projections pulled up on the side as far as guys we'll be looking to on FanDuel. They don't grade out as quite a good plays for me over on FanDuel, but there's still some good guys. We'll talk about it as we go along here. So, on FanDuel, let's start things off at the point guard position. Guys that I would be looking to at the point guard position. LaMelo Ball, Chris Paul, I do think are both great pay-up options. I do have a lot more interest in LaMelo Ball strictly because of the pace of the game and that they're similarly priced on FanDuel. I'll take the LaMelo Ball price tag at only 300 more. Donovan Mitchell at 8-2, one of the top usage guys in the league, now finally returning, taking on Indiana. Could certainly be an intriguing option. Problem is everyone else is coming back too, so his usage isn't going to be too crazy. Kyle Lowry, if there is no Jimmy Butler, I'd really like. Unfortunately, we may not know that news before lock, but if you're willing to take a risk on Kyle Lowry, that could pay off for you. Cade Cunningham at 6-7 over here on FanDuel is way too cheap compared to DraftKings, so he's someone that I'd be wanting getting a lot of exposure to over here on FanDuel. Taking on an Orlando Magic team that has been terrible defensively all season long. It's a 212.5 over-under with a 2.5-point spread in favor of Detroit. So Cade Cunningham on FanDuel specifically, certainly take advantage of that discount. Kiefer Sykes might grade out as a decent play here, considering there's no Malcolm Brogdon if he does get the start. He's been producing at a pretty high rate. The problem is they're going to be a lot less shorthanded than they were. A guy like a Chris Duarte could cut into his usage here, and for that reason, it becomes a little bit less interesting. We've seen this line switch to -5 in favor of Utah now. So Utah is expected to win this game fairly, well, I shouldn't say fairly easily, but much more likelihood that they win this game than it was obviously before all these guys were ruled in. So anyways, that's going to kind of change the dynamic of that game. Other guys I'd be looking to on FanDuel over here. Bobby Portis is criminally underpriced on FanDuel at only a 5.5 price tag. I mean, that's just way too cheap. He's going to have extreme amounts of ownership, but he should. I mean, this is just an absolute lock. He's my lock of the night, but on FanDuel specifically, I mean, this price tag is just too low, man. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. Had a big game last night. His price tag went down from last night. I don't get it. So just be locking him in your lineup. Yurtseven and Tyler Hero both really great out as great plays for me at their mid 6K price range on FanDuel. Once again, just too cheap compared to DraftKings. 6.8 for Yurtseven. Over here, you can make an argument that the cheaper guys in Hassan Whiteside, Mo Bamba, Al Horford might be worth more of a play. You can put Bobby Portis at the center position, but still do think that he's a pretty solid play. And like I said, Tyler Hero's price tag, way too cheap over here on FanDuel in comparison to DraftKings. So once again, a price tag that you could certainly be taking advantage of. B Shizzle says, do we have any good value tonight? Yeah, certainly. I think the top value is going to be all those guys on the Milwaukee side. I mean, they're certainly grading out as great value plays to me. Even though they're kind of priced in the mid-range, they're cheap enough to where I'd certainly be getting a lot of exposure to Bobby Portis, Jordan Nwora. Colin says, any interest on Duarte on DK? I think he's decent. I just worried a little bit about his minutes being limited in his first game back here. He's only 5'3", so he could certainly get there for you at this price tag. Just a matter of how many minutes is he going to play. I don't know. He was ruled out. He's been doing conditioning. I tend to think he'll be all right. He's kind of a young guy, but, you know, it's kind of a risky play is all that I would say. If you want to go to Chris Duarte, sure, but If you don't, I just think you're being a little bit safer if you don't go to him. But he's certainly valid if you want to go there, sure. Just keep in mind, we don't really know with the health and safety protocols how much these guys are going to be limited. Talking about some more FanDuel over here, I do think that RJ Barrett's price tag looks very good at 5.8 on FanDuel. You could also be taking a look to an Isaiah Stewart at 5.2 at the power forward position. There's a possibility he's somewhat limited, but I do think we're going to see his minutes continue to climb. 20 minutes last time out. First game back from the health and safety protocols. He should be a little bit more up to speed now at a 5.2 price tag. I'd be willing to take some risks there. Jordan Nwora on FanDuel, we already talked about it, but with these Bucks being shorthanded, great fantasy point producer. He played a lot of minutes last game out. Kind of would have been a letdown if you went to him. I think his ownership was very, very low last night due to all that Utah Jazz value that opened up. But tonight and last night, I think it would have been a lot higher had that not came out. So I do think that Jordan Nwora is a pretty fantastic play here. And yeah, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job of talking about it. Giannis Antetokounmpo is my top pay-up option on the slate. I already said it. But I really think you should be prioritizing getting Giannis in. I said that last night as well. Unfortunately, he let us down. He got in foul trouble in the first half. The game turned into a blowout. He really didn't have the best game, but I wouldn't let that deter you from playing him tonight. I certainly think he's going to be a fantastic play and someone that I'd be willing to go right back to on this slate. And also, Julius Randle at only 9K on FanDuel. Another guy that's just priced way cheaper than he is over here or over there on DraftKings. So, I mean, take advantage of that 9K price tag. He grades out as a really good play at that price tag in comparison to his DraftKings salary. So he's someone that I would certainly be willing to get lots of exposure to over here on FanDuel. And like I said, if you want to go to a Jimmy Butler at a 9.2 price tag, with all the injury news and everything, with him not being ruled in yet, you could get Jimmy Butler really low owned. And if he's ruled in and he goes out there and puts up 50 plus, I really think that's a great way to... I really think that's a great way to get some exposure at a low ownership. Save your money, KJK sucks, says something, and we're just going to remove him from the chat because I don't know why he's doing that. So yeah, fun. Cameron Baldwin says, I have a good feeling about RJ Barrett tonight. Yeah, I think RJ Barrett's a really good play. So, especially if there's no Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett gets a really big bump up here. So, I do think that it's certainly worth getting some RJ Barrett exposure too. Colin says, hater alert. Yeah, we've had that lately. Someone's not too happy with me, and he feels the need to go all over my content. I don't know why he's not happy with me, but it is what it is. So let me know if you have any more questions. I'll gladly answer them in the chat. And I'll be hanging out here for another, 10-15 minutes if you have anything. If you don't, I can certainly bounce out. If you haven't checked out my premium content, I would certainly encourage you to go check it out. I actually just released a video today on how my premium content works, the different tools that I provide, and you can check that out using patreon.com/KJK_DFS in the chat if you want to get access to my premium NBA projections, NBA data sheet, player stats, team stats, score plays. I've been getting a lot of questions on how the tools work when you get onboarded into the new program, and that's certainly worth checking out. Check out the video. I explain kind of how it all works, and yeah. Also, check out the sponsor of the program, guys, Parlay Play, because there's some really good picks over here. I'm looking to lock in some more picks. We kind of got burnt the last few nights, unfortunately. But you can use the promo code KJK003. You can also use my link to head on over here. And Parlay Play, essentially what it is, it's a player props format. They have basketball, football, hockey, boxing, all that fun stuff. And if you use my promo code to sign up, you will get an instant match deposit up to $50. You will also get a risk-free $10 in entries. So I certainly would encourage you to check them out. You get some free money to play with. Worst case, you may lose your free money, but then you can just kind of move on and play on other formats if you'd like, but it's certainly worth giving it a try. I like the format a lot. And we have turned $10 into $285.56 since joining over here. So check them out. Use that promo code. Use the link that I just put in the chat to check out Parlay Play today. Sponsor the channel. Really appreciate them. That we kind of connected, partnered, and they've been great to me. And I really like the format overall, guys. It's just a fun format. So check them out. And like I said, use that link to get your risk-free $50. Or I'm sorry, instant match deposit up to $50. You also get your risk-free $10 when you sign up today. Tap My Life says, who is your best FanDuel value? That is a good question. Who's my best FanDuel value? Let's go ahead and pull up my projections over here. My best FanDuel value. I mean, it's got to be Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is way too cheap over here on FanDuel, man. He's only 5.5. He's the best play on the slate, in my opinion. I love him on both websites, but specifically on FanDuel, I mean, that's just ridiculously cheap. So you got to take advantage of the Bobby Portis price tag on FanDuel. He's my lock of the night. I would definitely encourage you to get lots and lots of exposure to Bobby Portis. I'm going to have him in 100% of my lineups tonight. If it burns me, it burns me. He's just too cheap. And the Charlotte defense is really, really bad. So I'm going to be taking advantage of getting Bobby Portis in my lineups at a discount. The price tag has not been adjusted enough on both websites. So Bobby Portis is definitely my my favorite option for a value on FanDuel. Tap My Life to answer your question. So yeah, guys, let me know if you have any more questions in the chat. We talked about FanDuel. We talked about DraftKings. A little bit of a game-by-game breakdown. I do think the number one tournament play on the slate is going to be Jimmy Butler. It is certainly very risky, but the fact of the matter remains, this game is all the way back to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. The other games start at 7 and 7:30. If he's ruled in after those games start and you have him, he's going to be extremely low-owned. And if he goes off, you're going to be looking really, really good in your tournaments. So I would encourage you, if you do have a high risk tolerance, to get some Jimmy Butler exposure tonight. It's, once again, depending upon your risk tolerance. If you're not willing to risk that, I understand. But I do think that he's going to be a phenomenal tournament play on this slate tonight. B. Shizzle says, Sykes a good play tonight. Yeah, he's certainly a good play. Because Malcolm Brogdon was ruled out. I don't think he's going to have quite the upside as he's had in the last few games, though. So he's grading out as a decent value play for me. I don't know if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, though, because I do think his price tag is very different on the two websites. He's only 4.2 on DraftKings, so there I'd be much more willing to play him. On FanDuel, they really hiked his price tag up to the point of where I just don't think it's worth it. He's up to 5.8 on FanDuel, so I am assuming that you're playing on DraftKings. And we just got confirmation that Evan Fournier was ruled out, guys. So Evan Fournier is out. That is a big piece of news. Like I said, that's going to make us like RJ Barrett a lot more, Alec Burks a lot more. So that is a big piece of news. There is no Evan Fournier tonight. Nerlens Noel was also ruled out. So yeah, guys. So there's no Evan Fournier. That's going to make us like Alec Burks a lot more, RJ Barrett a lot more, Emmanuel Quickley a lot more, Quentin Grimes and Miles McBride off the bench you could be taking a look to. But mainly, that's a big deal for those three guys that I talked about. And RJ Barrett and Alec Burks and Emmanuel Quickley. Those three guys. And then obviously Julius Randle should get even more usage as well. He's already the top usage guy on the team as is. But big bump up to an RJ Barrett and Alec Burks now. So I would encourage you to get a lot more exposure to them than I would have if he was ruled in. 12 Smitchell says, would you fade Whiteside today on DK? It's really tough to. You certainly can. There's other spots to be getting different, but I mean, the guy's only 3.5. He's expected to play, 30 minutes or so, and he's a really good fantasy point producer. Okay, so we just got news that Evan Fournier's out. Now they're saying he's a game time decision. So, welcome to NBA DFS. I don't know what to tell you. I thought he was ruled out. Now he's a game time decision. So, I don't know what's going on there. We just got an update. It was just tweeted out. I just put it on the screen. You guys saw it. Evan Fournier was ruled out. Now he's a game time decision. So, I don't know what that means. I was assuming he was out. Now he's in. I don't know, or he could possibly be in, I should say. So, I don't know. If he's out, like I said, RJ Barrett, Alec Burks, going to be a big bump up. So, keep your eyes on that news. But yeah, Hassan Whiteside at 3.5. He's really, really hard to fade on DraftKings. I mean, he grades out as a fantastic play. Looking at his permanent production on the season, pulling up my sheet here on the DraftKings side of things. Let's see, team, Utah, and let's pull up Mr. Whiteside. Oops, messed up. Hassan Whiteside is putting up 1.28 DK points per minute. That is phenomenal production, and he's only 3.5. So yes, you can fade him, but I mean, he really didn't do much last night. He was a bit of a letdown at only 3.5, but is the likelihood that he scores around 30 DraftKings points tonight pretty high? Yes. And are you going to need him at 3.5 to win? Probably. So if you want to fade him, you know, more power to you. There are some other guys that I think are way too cheap over here on DraftKings. I talked about Mo Bamba at the center position. If you want to pivot to Mo Bamba at only 5.5, I think he's another guy that's really underpriced. But do I think you could play Mo Bamba and Hassan Whiteside and be looking really good in your tournaments? Yes, I do. So best mid-range play on DraftKings. Best mid-range play on DraftKings for me is going to be Bobby Portis. He's my lock of the night. I absolutely love Bobby Portis on both websites. He's way too cheap on FanDuel, but even on DraftKings at 6.5, taking on a Charlotte team that's really bad defensively, I really do like him. So, all right, guys, looks like we got about 20 people in here, only 10 likes. If you're enjoying the stream, really would appreciate it if you hit that like button. Our goal is to get to 20 likes on all of these streams. Hit that notification bell and that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content that I upload. You'll get notified when I upload new content. You'll get uploaded when I go live. Really helps me out, guys, and I do greatly appreciate it. Patrick says the Knicks can't make up their mind, apparently. Yeah, man, I don't know. He was ruled out, and now all of a sudden he's a game-time decision, so that kind of stinks. I felt like we finally kind of had a little bit of confirmation. We were feeling pretty confident about it. And now all of a sudden he's a game-time decision. So, you know, what are you going to do? We just have to keep our eyes on the news. If you guys don't have Twitter and you're playing NBA DFS, I would strongly encourage you to get a Twitter account. Underdog NBA is the account that I follow for these updates every single day that we do on the channel. I have the notifications turned on my phone. It's as simple as going on Twitter, following Underdog NBA, and turning on that notification bell. You can also follow me over on Twitter at KJK_DFS. I oftentimes tweet out updates. I retweet stuff when I see it. But Underdog NBA does a really good job of tweeting out the injuries updates like immediately whenever we get them. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a Twitter account, you need to get one if you're playing NBA DFS, because you need to know as soon as people are ruled out, as quickly as possible. If someone ruled out at 6:58, you need to give yourself, I live on the East Coast, so it's 6:58 would be 2 minutes before lock, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You really need to be notified right away so that you can make a change as quickly as you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're, you know, kind of SOL, the news comes out too late. But if it's at all possible to be making a change to your lineup, getting an edge on the field, you need to be doing so. And I would strongly encourage you, if you don't have a Twitter, to get a Twitter. You really need it. Also, check out the KJK DFS Patreon package over here on Patreon. $19.99 a month. You get access to the premium NBA projections, NBA data sheet, player stats, team stats, play context stats, core plays, where I do put in the projections that will reflect all the injury news and all that fun stuff to help you out when building your lineups. I also just released a video today on how all my tools work, why they work, and how you can use them to be successful at NBA DFS. So check that out. B Shizzle says, best 5,000 or under player on DK other than Whiteside. Best, all right, let's go ahead and pull it up. Best under 5,000 on DraftKings. PJ Washington's a pretty great play. Okeke could be a great play if we get confirmation there's no Wendell Carter Jr. In that game, so he would become more valid. I really like Terrence Ross regardless at 4.8. I think Terrence Ross would be my answer there. He's just really getting a lot of usage off the bench. If there is indeed no Cole Anthony in this game and Wendell Carter Jr., Terrence Ross is going to get an even bigger bump up in usage. So Terrence Ross I'm really liking on DraftKings. I think he would be my answer there. He's certainly grading out as a great play for me at that 4.8 price tag. I think he's got a bunch of upside. He just dominates the usage. Well, actually, let me take that back. Yeah. Okay, I was looking at the wrong guy. He would be my best play. I do think that Isaiah Stewart at 4.8 is a similar upside play as well. He should continue to see more minutes for this Detroit team. He started last time out. The only thing I'm concerned about with him is we did see the emergence of Trey Lyles while he was gone. I think they may want to give Trey Lyles a little bit more run. So for that reason, I do think that Isaiah Stewart's a little bit risky, but I do think his price tag is very friendly. So Isaiah Stewart or Terrence Ross. I think Terrence Ross is the safer option of the two, and I do think that Terrence Ross has a bunch of usage. So Patrick says a bonus or Giannis on FanDuel. If I had to pick one, I would definitely go with Giannis. I just think that Giannis' upside is huge on this slate tonight. Taking on a Charlotte squad that really struggles defensively. He got in foul trouble last night. Didn't really have the best game. Maybe that keeps some people off him. I tend to think it wouldn't. I mean, it's Giannis. He's playing Charlotte. It's a fast up-tempo game. It's the fastest, highest total game on the slate with a 235.5 over-under. So I'm going to be jamming in all the Giannis I can. I do like Sabonis a lot as well. If it's possible to get both of them, certainly do. Julius Randle's priced at a discount over there. So those three guys I really think make a lot of sense. But yeah, Giannis and Sabonis are my top two pay-up options on this slate. So if it's possible to get both in, that would be fantastic. If you're asking me to pick one, I would certainly go with Giannis over Sabonis. Cameron says, what's your take on Mitchell Robinson? I think Mitchell Robinson's a decent play. He's a little bit inconsistent. Taj Gibson's kind of cutting into his usage a little bit is the only problem. I don't know if you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel. That would also really help me to answer this question. I think he's more of a valid play on FanDuel specifically, where he's priced at 4.9. Getting around 27 minutes a game, and he gets a lot of blocks and steals. So on a site like FanDuel, where you get the 3 points for every block and steal, he's 4.9 over there. On DraftKings, I don't think it's quite as appealing of a play. He's 4.9 as well, or 4.8 over here on DraftKings, but there's just some really, really good plays on DraftKings where the pricing differs a little bit for me at the center position that I'd be willing to go to. Hassan Whiteside being one of them. He's too cheap. Mo Bamba at 5.5. I think it's just way too cheap. His minutes are a little bit more solidified. So those two guys I'm really, really high on tonight. So for that reason, I think it's a decent play on DraftKings. I like him a lot more over on there on FanDuel. So hopefully that helps you out. If you're playing on FanDuel, I certainly think that would be much more reasonable to be going to him. 12 Mitchell says Hornets run backs on DK. I'm not exactly sure because I think it depends upon your roster build. I think there's a lot of really good plays in the Hornets, but I do think that they're negatively correlated. And for that reason, I do think that I would certainly be willing to go to him. I mean, the fact of the matter remains, I'm sorry. I just got sidetracked. The best run back option on Charlotte. Okay, so it depends upon your roster construction. I think the best options are the most expensive guys, Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would just play those two, but the salary cap is a thing. The salary cap does exist. So for that reason, the best run back options at their salary, I mean, I think Gordon Hayward at 6'4" is very reasonably priced on DraftKings. The guy's put up 48 and 34 DraftKings points the last two times out. He's priced in the mid 6K range. So I really like him at that price tag. So like if I had to pick two guys to run it back with, I would probably go with Gordon Hayward and pay up for LaMelo Ball with the high upside at 9.5. Now, obviously, you might not be able to fit in LaMelo Ball if you're paying up for a Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have Whiteside, you have some other value plays. If you can't fit him in, I do think that PJ Washington at 5K, very similar to Gordon Hayward, his production, he's been putting up 30-plus DraftKings points. He's only 5K. It makes a lot of sense at his price tag. So I really like mixing and blending these guys. If you're only playing one lineup and I had to pick, it just depends upon your roster construction. I have to see your roster. Who are you paying up for, etc. Who are you really trying to get some exposure to on this slate tonight? Are you trying to get up to Giannis? Are you trying to get up to Sabonis? That's probably going to take away the options of LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. You'll probably have to go down to a PJ Washington and a Gordon Hayward. If you're going to some other value plays like Hassan Whiteside, etc., I do think that it makes sense to go up to a LaMelo Ball. I really like LaMelo Ball. It's a fast, up-paced game. It's one of the fastest-paced games on the slate. So it's just going to make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, guys, 6:15 is approaching for me right now. If you guys have any more really important questions, please do ask them in the chat. I will gladly answer them. And other than that, I'm probably going to get out of here soon. I have to update my projections, my core plays, my injury impact insights, all that fun stuff for my Patreon members. So if you are interested, check that out. Cameron says I play on FanDuel. Thank you. No problem. Thanks for the super chat. Portis and Giannis and Whiteside are core plays on DK. Yeah, I like all those guys a lot. I certainly think that they're going to make a lot of sense. So, certainly does make a lot of sense. All right, guys, if we don't have any more questions, I'm probably going to bounce out of here. Thank you for tuning in tonight. 19 likes. If we can get that up to 20, that would be greatly appreciated. If there's anyone else that really enjoyed the stream, that would be fantastic. And, yeah, guys, we will see you in the next one if you don't have any more questions. But I just want to make sure that I hang around here for a couple more minutes. If you do have any really important questions, please do ask them. I'll gladly help out. If you haven't checked out the sponsor of the program, Parlay Play, head on over here to Parlay Play, guys. Use that promo code KJK003. You'll get an instant match deposit up to $50. You'll also get a risk-free $10 to play with. You can tune into my live streams and my videos day in and day out. I'll be giving a lot of picks on Parlay Play for the Parlay Play Bankroll Challenge. We have turned $10 into $285.56. Our record has fallen to 8-16, so unfortunately, not the best in the world. We've been taking some risks that aren't quite paying off, but with a big bankroll, I'm willing to just take the risk and hope we can, hit a couple big ones. We hit two $250 ones to get our bankroll up over $500 at one point. We've just been taking some risks to try to hit some more of those $250 ones. Fortunately, it hasn't paid off, but we put ourselves in a position to where we can do that and it won't kill us. So, I'm just going to try to keep trying to get that bankroll up. If you want to sign up for them, guys, use the link I'm going to put in the chat. It's also down below in the description box. But that's all for me, guys. One more question here I got from 12 Mitchell. Rozier and Bridges or Hayward and Bridges on DK as runbacks? That one I would go with Hayward and Bridges. I just like the way that the salary relief will give you a little bit more exposure to some better options on the slate if you go down to a Gordon Hayward. So that would be my answer there. And yeah, guys. All right, I'm going to bounce out of here. Wish you all the best of luck tonight. If you want to hop in the premium content stuff, check it out. Patreon.com/KJK_DFS. You can hop over there right now with the rest of the team, helping each other out in the Discord chat. Also, you'll get access to the premium projections, the core plays, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Wishing you guys all the best of luck. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We will catch you in the next one. And good luck, guys. Good luck, guys.